Well, hello and good morning, everyone, here live on Kart Chaser for the Indy Karting Challenge. Getting set to go for qualifying action this morning with our morning session competitors, and we have ourselves a great lineup to kick off the morning. We're going to have the mini and micro Swift categories starting off the day with the 206 medium, 206 junior, multi-class racing with the 206 legends and supermasters, before we wrap it up with KA Seniors and Masters. My name is Taylor Burris, and joining me in the booth here today is Jackson Lambros. And Jackson, good morning to you as we get set to see some great action here in the Indy Karting Challenge at the K1 circuit in Whiteland. Well, as we get set here with qualifying action right now in our micro and mini Swift category, currently the mini Swift drivers are out on circuit with Blake Martinez setting fastest lap of the qualifying session so far this morning with a 40.754. Leah Simonelli as the drivers work their way through into this event. A lot of things still to talk about here for our both mini and micro Swift categories. Last time out, Blake Martinez is currently your points leader with Kason Hendrickson winning out in the previous round, round number 9 of the championship. Blake Martinez finishing in P3, Simonelli in P2. As we wrap up qualifying, we'll go ahead and bring in my co-commentator for today's action, Jackson Lambros. Jackson, really great effort that we're seeing here this morning with the mini and micros as they're just now wrapping up the session here, and we'll hopefully get to see some great racing action between these two multi-class categories that we're about to see this morning. Absolutely, there as we get the final result. Blake Martinez comes across the line to set the fastest lap of the race or qualifying with a 40.362. And to put it in perspective, he is about 6/10 of a second faster than second place Leah Simonelli with a 40.981. Ari Berger will round out your top three with Jackson Jessup, Christopher Heinzen, and Kason Hendrickson. We want to say get well to Grayson out there. Hope we can have them back here this in the future rounds. We still have 2 more rounds after today's action that will kick off later on in the year as we get closer and closer to see who will win the K1 Indy Karting Challenge at Whiteland Championships in their respective classes. Next on the docket, it is the 206 senior medium drivers, and we got to talk about this category. This category has been exciting to watch. You have the likes of Braden Heber, Evan McCorkadale, Levi Wilbur, Nicholas Nossman, some of the favorites who are going to be battling it out for the championship amongst them. Braden Heber has been on an absolute tear, winning the previous round, holding off McCorkadale and Wilbur to maintain his points lead over McCorkadale in your 206 senior medium. Absolutely, Jackson. We'll try to touch on some of those who competed in the CKNA Grand Nationals throughout the weekend or throughout the day today to just touch on and give them a little bit of a round of applause because that's what's so great about these club races that they do get to go and compete at some of the highest levels of 206 competition as they did last weekend at the CKNA Grand Nationals in Newcastle. So for some of these guys, it was just a short little drive over there to Newcastle, Indiana, and get themselves set to try to get some hardware in this event. As we wait for a few short minutes, we should be seeing the 206 mediums heading out momentarily. We did have one cart stuck on the back half of the track that we got to clear out there, so we'll give it a few moments before we get set for qualifying in 206 senior medium. And now it's time that we release the drivers out onto the circuit for 206 medium qualifying as they head their way through. We got a nice group of drivers that are going to be coming out onto the circuit, led by, of course, Heber, McCorkadale, and Wilbur, some of your favorites for the championship, as they get set for their warm-up laps here, as they work our way through the new configuration here this weekend compared to what we've normally been running here in the IKC. We are pretty much going to be doing the a little bit of more of a high speed section for sure, as instead of moving the double hairpin that we did the last previous round of the championship, we're going to be making it way through a wider arc through some of these corners here. And then of course we'll have the S's as always, and then of course the Daytona curve, a fan favorite here at K1 Circuit in Whiteland. As they make their way out, it's Coldata, McCorkadale, Nossman, Heber, Wharf, your top 5 drivers first out onto the track. Haymaker, Goldman, Waldo, Demon, and Sutherland, your 10 competitors competing in 206 medium.
Tell you what, looking at this lineup we've got here, this layout, I should say, that's going to be really, really interesting, especially with these 206 power plants. We talk about the importance of carrying momentum, having that Talladega or Daytona style pack racing for being so reliant on having a guy in front of you, having a dance partner to kind of maximize your pace. That's what Heber and McCorkadale are doing right now, running bumper to bumper. So again, with so much more momentum, so much less technicality to this layout, it's going to be so important to really, really get to the bumper behind you. Not necessarily rubbing against them, but we look at this 3-pack here at the front of the field, Taylor. This is going to be pivotal for maximizing that straight line speed.
Yeah, that's McCorkadale right there leading the charge. Then you have the driver of AJ Coldata as they make their way across the start-finish line here momentarily. 3 minutes to go. Let's see who improves on their qualifying run across the line. Heber, being that last car in that train, sets fast time of 42.621, setting a blistering pace, 0.6 of a second faster than Nicholas Nossman or McCorkadale, as we're not going to see, is anyone going to decide to drop back and be that car that's getting towed around the circuit, as here they come back over towards the bottom of the hairpin right here, heading over towards that triple apex. And AJ thought about looking to the inside to get himself looking ahead, but you don't want to be that lead cart. McCorkadale really in not the best positioning to try to set fast lap, because he is pretty much being that block in the air that allows these carts to get a good draft, keep that momentum up, keep the RPMs up, in order to work their way through the S's.
Solid chance a lot of these guys are still working for that gear ratio. For everybody trackside or listening at home, or if you've worked on 206s, you know that sound, that fluttering when this is at the top of the rev range. Again, this has a rev limiter, unlike most of the single stroke engines, or excuse me, the 2-stroke engines, as we see what was considered a lead change there. Looks like Heber wanted a change of this order. But again, finding that right gear ratio just when is the right time to hit the top of the rev range with everybody in line. Do you want to be a guy that's comfortable out in front, or do you want to be a pusher? We see that a little bit more in heavier fields, especially at the national level. So kind of finding that balance of good straight line, but also the availability to push, kind of being able to be solid on both sides of that dance. A little bit of a breakaway now from that lead cart in the pack as McCorkadale improves to P3.
Really good run there for Evan McCorkadale, but still not close enough to set pole time. 3/10 of a second separates himself with a minute to go from Braden Heber. Braden just doing what he needs to do, and in fact, he has fallen off completely from this group of 3 ahead of him, but still gets that nice toe of the draft right there on those straightaways, which is helping him maintain. And Braden Heber, once again, sets fastest lap of the race, a 42.040, putting him still 0.3 of a second ahead of McCorkadale and Nossman. A couple of other drivers moving up the ladder. Andrew Goldman moving up to P8 here, as they are all setting their personal best lap times around the circuit with 30 seconds to go.
Tighten that battle for that P2 position right now. Just 4 thousandths separating McCorkadale and Nossman. They're both right on the same piece of racetrack, as now all 3 of them get tangled up together. Now we'll have that MPG machine get to the point as we have 9 minutes to go. Are we going to have one more lap? It's going to be close as the checkered flag just comes out. It's a little bit more breathing room for Heber now. 3/10 the gap. Kohada improves up into P2. He leapfrogs both Knotsman and McCorkadale Taylor.
He does. He's going to try to get a good run here. He is stuck in the middle between the two drivers and is now seeing the 19 of McCorkadale falling back further. He's going to try to get that push he wants there from Braden Heber to see if that'll help him a little bit as they work their way over to the final couple of corners onto the front straightaway. What will happen between the two of them with setting fastest lap of the race down the front straightaway to the checkered flag for their final attempt? Does anyone improve? Braden Heber does set the fastest lap of the race, a 41.730. AJ Koldata with a 41.89. Nossman, a 41.93. That just shows we're like 0.2 of a second between your top three. So it's going to be a close, tight race between them as we get set for heat races later on this morning. But excited to see how this all plays out.
Was very, very close again. I think we'll see that gap, those levels of gaps for a majority of the 206 races. Don't be surprised to see that for the KAs either. But again, we've talked about how close this competition has been, and we'll see that even further here once we see the green laps go on the board for our 206 juniors. They come on to track just now for their 10-minute qualifying session.
Absolutely, and as they do so, it is time for the 206 juniors. Of course, 206 junior category was an exciting run so far for the championship. Currently, right now, it's Jordan Latham who leads the championship by just a mere 20 points or right now between himself and Lucian Laser, your defending winner. He's looking to try to make the hat trick and go for 3 wins in a row this season right now after winning rounds 8 and 9. A couple of other drivers who will work their way up the running order: Parker Dunn, Nolan Wade, and Nico Santos, your top 5 in the championship. They have a little bit of work to do. They're going to need some help as well if they want to try to move up in the championship running order. They're currently about 100 plus points behind your top 2.
Good spacing here to get us started as we look at Parker Dunn in that orange and white Kart Republic machine. He'll be arrowheading them to the line, starting to get bunched up a little bit more here. Just to make that correction, it's 5 minutes on the clock here. So it's going to be really, really a mad dash to find someone you can draft and push with. But it's looking like a little bit further back. Dunn, no intentions of finding a partner just yet. We've got a problem. That's the 5, and that is Nelson who's parked it on the inside of that second hairpin.
Yeah, Gio Nelson right there as flagmans and officials will head over there to see what's up with the number 5 machine, but it's a tough break for him as he will not get to set any qualifying laps by the looks of it here, being stuck on there. They're going to back him out, see if he can continue. But right now, Lucien Laser, your pole sitter right now by just about 0.2 of a second between himself as we see one kart slowing down. See if he's able to get himself back up to speed as they work their way through. Good run here for your drivers of Laser and Lapin as they try to get that final bit of speed here as Evan Patton moves up into the top 3, setting his second lap of the qualifying session. And Laser back up at the top with a 43.50 as he is trying to hold on. Lathan right there tucked up behind him as they try to work together and see if they can set the pace here in this qualifying session.
That's the 8 of, I want to say, Rotaire and Le Pen working with one another. That might be Laser, actually. If it's the 800 plate, it is. So again, your first and second running next to each other. And with 83 thousandths, the gap between first and second, not too much of a surprise in teamwork, making the dream work right now because it was formerly almost half a second up. Here comes the rest of the field, though. Dunn gets to the top here with Parker putting in a very solid lap. Laser and Le Pen respond, though. Still incredibly close at the front end of the field right now with Lucian, a 42.937. 5 thousandths back is Le Pen. They've both leapfrogged Parker Dunn, who's about half a second back on pace. Evan Patton still in this mix as well as we work our way back to the line.
Really good run right here as they come across a minute 20 as Jordan Lapham finds a little extra speed to take over the top spot of the pole position with a 42.76, just 2 thousandths of a second faster than Lucen Laser with a 42.728. A very tight competition here to see who gets the top of the podium or the pole position here as they work their way out of Daytona down the long back straightaway over towards the final couple of corners here as they work their way through under a minute to go in qualifying. As a couple of drivers will give way. That's going to cause a little bit of a hiccup for some of them as we see the top cart right there in amongst the mix. Nico Santos picking up a couple of spots in qualifying. No changes, though, at the front with this last lap next time by for your competitors as here they come across the line. That is going to be trying to get the number off of those ones.
That's Nolan Wade in the 99 leading them. I can tell you that, Taylor. I'm trying to figure out what that blue and white cart is in the middle, but it's currently your seventh fastest cart leading them. That is, I want to say the 11 of Bachman now, who's going to go by and take it to the point. It is, and we've got another cart around. It's more drama for Gio Nelson, who's parked it right on the racing line and forces everybody to go wide there through the first of the hairpins. We've got the checkered flag coming out as further back, a lot of guys trying to get to the point. Lucen Laser looking to finally trump Le Pen on pace just at the line, 4 thousandths the gap. What do these three have to say about it as we work our way to the line? Wade, Seward, and Santos to the line. No improvement for them. Still plenty of time for Parker Dunn. A little bit further up from Evan Patton. He'll be the best to try and get to the front row. Gio Nelson just coming to the line. He won't improve. Max Roder coming to the line. No improvement for him. P11. Here comes Parker Dunn and Evan Patton. No improvement for Dunn. And with that, Laser and Le Pen, your front row.
Really good run right there on that last lap for Lucen Laser to get that little extra to be able to irk out the pole position ahead of Jordan Latham. Exciting to see how that happens. Next on the docket, it is your 206 Supermasters and 206 Legends drivers. Quick look at the championship standings for your 206 Legends. It is, of course, none other than Mr. Brian Williams, who is already looking to go for 4 wins in a row. He already has collected not 1, not 2, but a total of 6 wins this season already.
Is that good?
Yeah, I mean, when your lowest finish of the season is a 5th place because you didn't even show up for the event,
yeah.
that ought to tell you something. Let's just say his lowest finish was a 3rd place on the opening round of the championship. And then, of course, the other championship we're looking at, the Supermasters in 206, it's William McLaughlin, who only has collected 1 win of the season so far, but has had always the 2nd position all season long. As trouble for one driver. We'll see what happens here.
Looks like he needs to get that ripped and rolling again. That's actually minimal drama, as that might have been Joseph Stevens in the 50. I'm trying to figure out. That was a difficult one to call there with the number plate. 2 carts around. That might have been contact further back, Taylor. But I'm trying to get more number plates. We've got early drama here in the Legends and Supermasters qualifying, as we've already got 3 carts collected. But it looks like we finally got everybody running here. So J. Brian Williams in that murdered out black car with the black helmet is your leader. Tom Harlem in the middle there on your picture. White suit, black helmet with William McLaughlin. Very noticeable for us. We like that in the broadcast booth. The kind of salmon helmet at the back of the pack. Not really within striking distance of one another to really get the drafting help. J. Brian Williams, fastest on track so far of the Legends. McLaughlin still on top in the Super Masters.
Jackson, as these drivers are working their way through, not a whole lot of separation I've been noticing here. So a lot of them depending on just their own pace here, not really getting any major drafting situations among some of the drivers we're watching here. Brian Williams, of course, leading in Legends and McLaughlin in Supermaster. So no surprise there with our drivers. If we work our way through this action in the final closing minutes, 2 minutes here to go as they come across the line, 42.85 from Williams, a 42.94 for McLaughlin.
Richard Lemasters working his way up into P5, still about a second and a half off pace, as we just now see J. Brian Williams and William McLaughlin start to work with one another out on track. They're within about 2 kart lengths of one another, as we're watching those two out on track right now. Coming out of the final hairpin, it's really not until we reach halfway home that these guys really get to full song and we're able to see just how close they can be on pace, less than a tenth of a second separating your front row for the time being. But it is your individual class pole sitters out in front, with J. Brian Williams being the best of the Legends and William McLaughlin on the top for the Supermasters. Again, very similar carts, I believe, similar balance for both. It should be the same level of weight. It is, but the difference is Legends age group of 50 and up, and your Supermasters ages 60 and up.
Exactly. That's all what it boils down to there, Jackson, is just the age groups for these classes that we're seeing here today. It's the crazy old minutes, we like to call it here, with the Masters and Supermasters and Legends. But as we wind it down with qualifying, no changes as far as new pole sitters amongst the two classes. So we'll just keep an eye on this. We have one more qualifying session next up before we take a quick 10-minute break. And as they work their way through, it's going to be looking like Brian Williams and McLaughlin, your pole sitters in both classes.
We'll see. How about Tom Harleman in the 18 kart getting his way into the mix? A 43.142. That gets him 0.3 off of pace, but you look further back, I mean, it is Williams and McLaughlin in a league of their own right now. You look back to Tom Stevens, it's almost a second and a half off pace getting back to Stevens, Cutshaw, Lemasters. So you got a lot of guys who are very quickly going to go back to the tent, the trailer, and try and make some changes here to get something ready for the race. Danny Cutshaw first across the line as the checkered flag comes out for qualifying. And it'll be all eyes on this 3-pack right now being led by Cutshaw. That will change very quickly because McLaughlin, I believe, is the one cutting through there. And there was our spinner earlier on in that white cue ball helmet, just at the tail end of that pack. As I try to get, I want to say that's Jason Irvin. Not entirely sure, though. But here we go. Moment of truth as William McLaughlin comes to the line. Harleman comes to the line. A little bit of improvement for McLaughlin. Still not enough, and it will be J. Brian Williams on pole for the Legends and Supermasters.
Great qualifying effort here amongst the competitors. For Brian Williams and William McLaughlin, they will lead us to the green flag here in our heat race later on this morning. But it's now time for the KA Seniors and KA Masters drivers coming out onto the circuit. In KA Masters, it's none other than Joshua Nelson leading the championship and being one of the dominant drivers in the running. And then in the KA Senior category, AJ Lund is looking to go for a triple threat after winning the previous 3 rounds, actually. So he's looking for 4 wins in a row for him so far. Dane Van Dyke, Raider Santos, your top 3 in the championship, but they have quite a bit of work to do. They're about just under 200 points behind AJ Lund as they work their way out onto the track for their opening run in qualifying.
Only morning session we'll see running the IAME KA 100 power plant, the ever trustworthy 100cc 2-stroke power plant. No rev limiter on these guys. So a lot of help in the draft if you're able to get there. And we've got a lot of guys reshuffling, or at least thinking about it here on the opening lap. Who wants to lead? Who wants to push? Who wants to be in the mix? Not a lot of time to sort that out.
Not a lot of time indeed, and they have got to find their footing as quickly as possible in this qualifying session in order if they want to have the chance. We have a total of 7 drivers here in this session for qualifying as they work their way through. Joshua Nelson, the last of the KA Masters drivers, as they come across the line for the opening run, and Raider Santos goes to the top with a 38.430 to start off the qualifying session.
So again, it'll be all eyes on the Indiana native from Brownsburg, AJ Lund, to see what he can do in that 43 Top Kart. A comfortable 200 or so point gap over Dane Van Dyke and no-show. And the runner-up in this championship, Raider Santos, a good opportunity, who was the fastest man on track, now drops down to second at 10th and a half off of pace. But again, AJ Lund in cruise control right now, just trying to gain some insurance to close off this 2025 season.
Under 3 minutes to go. Adam Maxwell picking up a good time there with a 38.824, moving him up into the top 5. Currently sits P4. Macy Galen in 5th position. Let's see who's able to pick up the pace here in this qualifying session on this lap with 2.5 minutes to go. Across the line, Lane Gibbs goes to the top with a 37.534, a blistering pace, 0.2 of a second faster than AJ Lund.
Haven't seen too much of Lane Gibbs thus far, but really, really lets it loose here. 0.2, almost an eternity right now over the remainder of this field. But you've got AJ London, now Ryan Mort finding the pace right now with a 37.804 in the mix as well. Look at this 4-pack. Look at how spread out they are compared to your 4-stroke categories, as the braking zones with that top speed is so different. You kind of want to give each other a different level of breathing room, kind of an ability to coexist on the track, but still be just close enough where you can be within drafting distance. This is, I reckon, is this a push or a pass? It's a mighty push right there from what looks like Ryan Mort to, is that AJ Lund right in front? It is Ryan Mort to the point, though. Lane Gibbs in second. Lund drops to third. With 90 seconds to go, we'll have about 2 or 3 laps to go here.
This is going to get exciting as Lane Gibbs goes back up to the top with a 37.435, putting him just about a half a tenth behind or ahead of Ryan Mort. Lund still holds P3, no improvement for his qualifying times as they come around with a minute to go. So this probably puts them just about a lap, maybe 2 laps if they get to the line right on cue as they work their way through the back half of the course here. Really good run as we see a pass for that, try to switch it up a little bit, but Ryan Mort in that MPG Kart Republic, trying to see if he can get that little extra ahead of the Lando Norris kart that's just ahead of him as they cross the line. Gibbs sets a time. Mort comes across. Raider Santos right there in the mix. No improvement on anyone in that last lap.
Mort off throttle there. He gave Lund the opportunity to lead, and now it won't even be help for him with 20 seconds on the clock. Still Gibbs out in front. Here comes Maxwell to the point, a 37.410, fastest time of the morning so far. As we'll see Morton Lund come to the line at this time by, what will they have for the 941? Maxwell looking for one of his first poles of the season. AJ Lund and Ryan Mort both prevent that. It was quick for AJ Lund. Ryan Mort at the buzzer, though, gets it.
He still got one more lap to try to make it work. They made it before the checkered flag flew for them, so they have this final lap to try and set the pace here as they head down into the corner. Really good run as they work their way through. And as they do so, let's see, Top Kart, MPG, who's going to set the fastest lap of the race. Across the line, they will go. Maxwell does not improve. Here comes Mort and company, AJ Lund. And as they work their way across the start-finish line, it will be no change as Ryan Mort will be the fast time of this qualifying session to lead the charge in the heat races. We're going to step aside, take about a quick 10-minute break, and get set for heat racing action, starting off with the Micro and Mini Swift. Absolutely, and don't one thing we do have to touch on, we are stepping aside here for the premium members to tune in, catch all the action for $9.99 a month for all the great karting action across the world, and we will get ourselves set ready for heat racing action. I'm Taylor Burris, and he's Jackson Lambros. We'll be back here for heat races live on Kart Chaser.
Florida Kart Racers, you asked for it, and we're going to bring it. Introducing Florida Karting Championship, FLKC, a brand new racing series coming to Florida in 2026.
Let's go race.
Come on, man.
Cat food marketing. $9.99 a month.
Dude, Caleb, wake up. Dude, we're live in 5 minutes. Let's go. Come on. What are you doing?
Dude, I'm so sorry. Xander had me in a cat food marketing meeting till like 2 a.m. last night.
Come on, man.
Do you have anything I can drink?
Dude, I got the perfect thing for you. Perico. It's a healthy energy drink alternative.
Perico, non-GMO, gluten-free, kosher, magnesium, B12, B6,
Yeah, it's good.
B5, biotin, and zero sugar? Pericazo! Try Perico, made with natural ingredients, organic caffeine, and supports your metabolism. Try the new official energy drink of Kart Chaser.
This is Henry. Henry feels sad. Henry feels sad because it's time for his next big race and his go-kart is in bits. Henry doesn't know that Acceleration Kart Racing is the United States' #1 shop for all of your karting equipment needs. Henry also doesn't know that Acceleration Kart Racing can deliver anything from tires to race suits and even wheels directly to your front door or to the racetrack itself, quickly and efficiently, with tech support available 6 days a week. Poor Henry doesn't even know that Acceleration Kart Racing offers free shipping to mainland USA on selected product if you spend $200 or more. Do yourself a favor. Go to accelerationkarting.com and make sure that you are never left stuck on the pre-grid with Henry. Be smart and don't be like Henry.
The K1 Circuit Semi-Pro League. This is a competitive race series with 2 classes. Junior Series for those who are under the age of 18, and the Senior Series for those who are 18 or older. If you think you have what it takes, come out and prove your skills on League Night. Both schedules are live on the K1 Circuit website. Your Kart Chaser live feed will resume shortly.
Hey, what's up, Caleb?
What's up, Brandon?
You sound defeated. A long day at the office?
Yeah, got stuck at a cat food marketing meeting for like 3 hours. I don't know a thing about cat food, and I don't even work in marketing. And then I got sent on a coffee run like I was some sort of intern. Then at the end of the day, when I want to go get gas, I just realized everything is so darn expensive nowadays, man.
Yeah, you got that right.
Like, do you have any idea how much we're spending on Netflix?
It's like $20 a month.
Do you know how much we're spending on cable?
That's like $50 a month.
But you know what isn't expensive?
Tell me.
Kart Chaser Premium. For only $9.99 a month, you can watch all of the American karting action live from coast to coast. Subscribe and become a member today.